Hello and welcome to the Portland Horror Podcast Massacre, a roundtable discussion on the topics of the horror genre from the perspective of three very different horror nerds. Welcome to episode 7. My name is Jeff Dean and I'm joined tonight by my two co-hosts,
Willie Greer,
Heather Alexander.
And we're coming from you from Portland, Oregon. We're doing something a little different tonight. Usually we start off with movies that we've seen, but we're going to save that for the end of the episode. Tonight we have two special guests. We are sitting down with Nick and Sam Snyder, the Portland filmmakers behind the short film Nurture, the winner of this year's Best Short Film at the Portland Horror Film Festival. Woo-hoo. Welcome, guys.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi,
So nice to be here.
our very first podcast guests.
Can't wait.
Yeah,
It's our honor.
absolutely. So, you guys, let's start off by, for the listeners who haven't had the pleasure of seeing your film, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about it?
Well, the pitch at the moment is, what if A24 produced a live-action Pixar short? That's kind of the joke. But
Okay.
it is a dialogue-free folk horror film set in the Willamette Valley about a miscarriage and a nature curse.
Mm-hmm. About a grieving couple who takes a little too much from nature.
Takes from nature. There's themes of sacrifice and nature magic and grief and love, but ultimately it takes place in the realm of the folk horror, which is in nature. It's away from the city. It's entirely dialogue free, so it's a visual storytelling only piece. But it has heart to it, and that was kind of our biggest intention for this one.
Yeah. Kind of blend all the gore with heartfelt.
It has
Little tidbits.
contrast. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the influence for making this film? Did you have certain films that inspired you, or an idea, or what was it?
You go for it. You wrote
Yeah.
it.
I'm the writer-director. This is Nick here.
And I'm the producer, Sam.
I mean, it came from a lot of different places. This film is kind of the culmination of many years. Like, I work in visual effects and motion graphics, and I went to film school, and I made a bunch of short films before, and this is my return to directing after many years kind of obsessively watching movies and talking about making another movie with my wife, Sam. And the references, the short answer is it came out of limitations. We had access to this farm. My friend Nolan, he and his family live on this farm in St. Paul, Oregon. Mm-hmm. And when we visited him for the first time there, when they moved there, and we learned that we could possibly film something there, the cogs started turning of like, okay, this is interesting, because it was a sprawling landscape that just had it's not just a farm, but it has a forest, these beautifully manicured paths in the forest, and lots of places for cars to park, and so it kind of came from like a production standpoint, at least initially. Mm-hmm. But, I'm super inspired by what Jordan Peele and Ari Aster and A24 have been doing the last 10 years, and where horror has come. And I love classic horror. I love Spielbergian horror. We're going to talk about wholesome horror later, perhaps. But it came from a place of inspired by both working within genre, an intention to work within this specific genre of folk horror and create a tale that could work dialogue free, because that's another thing that I wanted to do from the very beginning.
You really wanted to do no talking.
Yeah, this is something that you learn in school and you try to carry with you, but you don't always put into practice. But dialogue free is really hard. And
I think part of that was also, you said you wanted to branch out and make a movie that could like address people across the world, like as we pitch to festivals. So having no dialogue kind of,
it's always a plus, but honestly
it's
about the challenge. I think the challenge is like just an artist or a filmmaker of like making something without dialogue felt really attractive, and all of my favorite filmmakers do that sort of thing. And who better, and at least in the last like 20 years of visual storytelling, is Pixar. So it's really inspired by the Pixar shorts, and in particular the first 10 minutes of Up. So if you watch Nurture, you'll get a real sense that it feels like the first 10 minutes of Up, but kind of fucked up.
Yeah. I do want to come back to that, but you got the actors Travis Belinsky and Kaylee Rhodes for these roles, and they were phenomenal. They portrayed emotion without speaking, and they did it so beautifully. And I can imagine it's really easy to overact in a situation like that because you're trying to, portray not only emotion but just kind of a conversation, right, between two people. So did you just happen upon these actors, or was it a long process of finding them?
We definitely put out a casting call. So we cast a wide net, and Nick and I had our selects, and we coordinated with our DP because there were a few that really stood out. But ultimately, once we got people, some of them were remote, but Travis and Kaylee were actually in person. And we held the casting call in our loft kind of situation.
Community room in our
room.
Our building.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we did a traditional casting call, and it was a mix of in-person and remote or video.
We had a lot of great people, but I think just talking with them in person, and then we had really liked Travis because it's especially hit home for him because he has a kid, and so I think he really, really wanted that role and connected to it. And then Kaylee too, she really liked the empowerment of Rose, because you did a great job, Nick, in balancing the softness that a man can have and the strength of a woman, and like balancing that dynamic. And then they got together, which is really cool.
Yep. Yeah, we did a chemistry read as well. So like once we had callbacks and we decided who these two people were going to be, it was a mixture of like them responding to the material, but also because there's no dialogue, I had to come up with like some stuff for them to read essentially. So it was the Good Will Hunting monologue that Robin Williams gives for
Ren.
The characters that the characters are named Ren are Ren and Rose, which they don't say their names. You can kind of hear it at the very end. She sort of says Ren.
Yeah,
that's the only word spoken.
I was wondering if, because it sounded like a word. It didn't sound just like a vocalization of grief or whatever. But I couldn't quite figure out what she was saying. So that makes more sense. Yeah.
So what was the script writing process like for doing a dialogue-free film? Did you storyboard? Or?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Well,
I wrote it traditionally.
That's your
first.
bread and butter too, because you are an animator, storyboarder, illustrator.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing for the last 10 years is more animation than live action. But so I brought some of that to it, but we wrote it traditionally first, and you beat it out in the same way that you would a regular story. It's just the prose, it's just the action, it's just what the characters are seeing and doing and interacting with, but it's every visual you see, you can describe it in words. So that's what I did first, and then I storyboarded it, and then we cut an animatic together with one of my collaborators, and then we did that again after we got access to the locations and the actors actually drew the likeness a little bit. I'll eventually put the full final animatic online, because what's really interesting is how similar it is to the finished film. And that's awesome. The biggest, one of the biggest things I've learned over the years is just, I've made a lot of mistakes over the years on biting off more than I can chew, and I wanted to make sure, both with the story and the writing and the production, that we can achieve everything, that we can shoot everything. And
the storyboards were so pertinent to the structure of the film, I think.
It was essential. And it was a way to see if the movie would work, too. And because my biggest concern was this magical flower element, and how much magic do we need? What kind of a performance do you need as far as, to sell all of this? And the biggest thing that I learned, and actually what I took from the first 10 minutes of Up, were repeated visuals. I found to be very important. In the film, every single location is visited twice, for the most part. Some are more than twice, but the hallway, the bedroom, the preparing of the tea, there's the very wide shot on the hilltop, the various scenes in the forest.
And the magic, like
There's
how he
repeated
touches
shots.
the flower and,
Mm-hmm.
you know, little special effects and making sure that lands with the audience.
For sure.
Yeah.
And then also how much music to include, and we brought the music and sound effects. We brought a lot of sound effects into the animatic from the early stages as well, but we then decided, and a good friend of mine did the score, how much music to include too, and we brought him in earlier as well. But yeah, storyboards, that was probably the final draft.
Is he a cello player, or was that all digital?
He did kind of a mix.
Okay.
It was like a hybrid, but he's got
Corey,
a lot of keyboards. He's got some
so
guitars.
The main melody lines in the romantic bits sound very organic for a cello. But.
They I think they were used. There's some sample packs. Yeah, we didn't use an orchestra or anything like that for this one. I wanted to use a choir. We would love to work with a choir one day first, but we felt like it was good enough.
Yeah.
As it was.
I think for the sake of time, because we spent like almost a year, a little less than a year in post-production.
It was like a year and a half.
Year and a half.
Yeah,
Time
nights
flies.
and weekends and.
We're like, oh no, we gotta move forward.
There's a lot. It's
keep moving.
13 minutes and 20 seconds long, but there's a lot of scenes. So it took a long time to color and to finish some of the VFX and stuff like that, but yeah, it was very detailed, and we put a lot of work into the pre-production. I think that really paid off.
So, like the title cards that kind of pop up, did you do the illustrations on those, or was that, because that really just was such a beautiful, I don't know, it felt very polished, and it felt very like you were watching, and I say this with respect, like I like short films, but this felt like a real film that was longer than just 13 minutes. There was so much in there visually, emotionally, the storytelling wise, and the title cards just kind of like really, I don't know, just sold it. And it was just from the beginning to literally the credits, it was just very polished, very special.
We
Yeah.
really
Well,
appreciate that because
means a lot, thank
we
you.
put in those title cards breaking out the chapters at the last minute because we were like, Nick and I both were like, okay, we gotta make sure the sense of time and place is there. How do we do this? And we loved his little glyphs that he did for the poster.
Yeah, that's from the poster.
Oh yeah.
Or one of the I did two. I designed both the posters, and one of
Okay.
them is a screen print poster.
Yeah.
And those little glyphs are from like a triptych, or what's the word? Like a tapestry style, 9-panel thing.
Yeah, so that means a lot because we do see a potential feature for this and are working on a feature script for it as well. So knowing that it felt full and whole like that means a lot because
But it
in our
means a
heads
lot.
we're going to do it.
For sure. And it means a lot you say that too, as far as
Yeah.
it's sort of adding that final polish, because that's exactly why we did it in the
Yeah.
end.
Yeah.
And some of the feedback we got, namely from some of our elder relatives,
Yeah.
about the passage of time.
My
and it's
grandma
just sort of
and-
we didn't get that at all from anyone else, like it being confused, like after the baby room scene that leads to the kissing down the hallway into the bedroom, and then the cut to nature once again, and then Ren walks in the door again. They didn't really quite grasp that a lot of time had passed, or any
Right.
sort of significant amount of time had passed. So that's why we did it in the end. And that's also like, that's a staple of folk horror too, of that sort of look. Like watching, this is not a folk horror film, but The Testament of Anne Lee, we were very impressed with that earlier this year, or was that last year? I forget, but their titles are awesome.
Such a good movie.
What is that movie?
The Testament of Anne Lee.
I don't know.
It's not a horror film, but it kind of dances in that territory. I think it's A24.
It has that
It's with-
cultish vibe with, yeah,
Yeah, it's about a fanatical religious
for the Shaker
sect,
movement. Yeah.
the Shaker movement that
Uh-huh.
come to America, try to establish a presence
So that
in
didn't
New England.
inspire the film, but yeah, they did have amazing title sequences that
Or just title cards.
Title cards,
Yeah,
sorry,
the use
title
of like
cards,
the use
yeah.
of supers.
Exactly.
And I think does Hamnet do that too? But there's, yeah, it's common, and that was just sort of a choice at the
seemed
last
right.
Yeah, it felt right.
Yeah. So you had talked about the, you implied about the hot air balloons, especially when you're talking about Up, and it just feels like it's intentional. So the hot air balloons are on the baby's door, and was it the
mobile?
The mobile as well, yeah. And then, of course, you have that beautiful shot in the sky. Like, was that digital or?
Nope.
We lucked out.
We lucked out.
Really?
Yeah, we lucked out, and
and the DP Evan went off.
Evan had that mobile that we used above the cradle, or above the crib, and then we purchased the thing for the door, the decoration for the baby room door to signify baby room, and that became kind of the theme. And then we were out shooting at dawn, shooting nature shots of Mount Hood in particular. We wanted to get some of these sort of passing of time shots, and there just so happened to be hot air balloons.
I remember you like ran up to me and were like, "Oh my gosh, there's hot air balloons. We got to go."
That was
shoot.
Yeah, that was not a comp shot.
That's kind of a blessing right there.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like the serendipity of that.
Yeah.
The filmmaking gods were with you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
And
they
it's
were.
funny because a couple of people thought that it was digital. You're very good at comping, Nick, because that was a real shot, but then Mount Hood was a real shot, but you comped it into that scene. And so
the hilltop
there was a
shot,
good blend
or
of
where
that.
the sort of very wide shot where they run across the hilltop.
Okay.
You can see Mount Hood there too, but that one's comped.
Okay.
But the other Mount Hood shot, the two other Mount Hood shots are not comped.
Was real. Yeah, so some of it we just lucked out.
What about one of my favorite moments is when he goes and he finds the clearing for the first time, and he's looking around and he looks up and the flock of crows leave the treetops. Was that real as well?
That's VFX.
That's Nick.
That's effects. Yeah. Because I was like, holy shit, that's like, it's so Pacific Northwest, you know, like it's just like these little elements that, you know, yeah, it's nature and it happens everywhere, but it feels so Pacific Northwest because, you know, obviously the mountains and the hot air balloons, and then the crows. And I was like, man, this is really just, I don't know, it was magical, really.
That's makes us so happy because post-production took forever.
Is there any significance in the color of red for the flower?
Yeah, well, definitely alluding to miscarriage without trying to, I mean, for me personally, from a producer standpoint, like it's a very sensitive subject matter, but without trying to like be too disturbing because it is a really sad experience. Nick and I ourselves, like we're trying to have a kid and we know a lot of friends and family who struggle with that, and I think, I mean, from my opinion, having the red flower wasn't just blood. It was very
vitality,
like metaphorical.
Vitality and life, life and death and passion.
Yeah.
I thought, because what I'm reminded of was like, "Don't Look Now." The color red is very significant
Good
in
call.
that, and it's dealing not with miscarriage, but with the death of a child. So I just kind of, that's what I thought of.
Yeah.
At one point.
Yeah,
You
100%.
got it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, that's one of the best grief movies of all time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say color was definitely taken into account the whole way through. That's another sort of thing we did in pre-production was a color story. Talking of Pixar again.
Yeah.
They're very known to do that, and we wanted to have a color progression for both the color, not just the color grading, but where we could shoot too, if possible, and using the color red wherever possible. We lucked out with that room, the bedroom, having those red walls. That was there in this Airbnb that we rented to shoot at.
Wow.
Where Ren, he stands up and
Well,
after
that's
he
why
puts
we rented
the flower
it.
there, he's
Like it was already set.
that's exactly why we yeah, it was
Okay.
amazing.
Amazing.
So the outside of the house was your friend's farm that they just bought, but the interior shots were something that you rented?
Yep.
No, the outside of the house was the same as the inside of the
Oh,
house. It's
that
the,
shot. Yeah.
It's
sorry.
all the forest stuff
Mm-hmm.
and the chickens and the hilltop. All the major scenes outside are on my friend's farm.
I see.
But we rented a
and
property to shoot
the
at
main
for the
final
inside.
scene too in the woods. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand.
But yeah, there were some elements that were outside, like under that special like giant tree with the picnic, that was at the Airbnb.
When she's getting better, and they fix the fence again. And
Yeah. But the house, was all rented, and we did do a lot of research into Airbnbs, and we just kind of fell in love with Barbara's, her name's Barbara, and I think she was also really excited because her husband had passed away, and it seemed like he would have really enjoyed being part of that too, because we had Barbara like on set just watching some of the in-action moment, and she did the clapperboard. And
it was just the perfect look. It's classical.
Perfect look.
It's like a 100-year-old house that they'd fairly recently remodeled to look like it used to look. So it was pristine.
But it kept that charm,
It was
that
super
old-fashioned charm.
Yeah.
And,
Creaky old boards and stuff.
Was the plan in the movie to always make the flower into a tea? Was that always written?
Yeah, that always felt like that was the administering that in that way was the most visual, because there was a process of preparing it. Pretty much, right? I don't think there was.
We were definitely like, how can she ingest this? Like, so tea seemed like the right answer, but it also affected which flower we chose, because for any like, flower nerds out there, because I love tea, and we're like, okay, we need a flower that's actually not poisonous, because some people might realize like and
I might try this.
Definitely. Different kind of horror story. But so we chose the Gerbera flower because mostly for VFX purposes, because you said,
the hypnotic center, the black center,
and not having like too many prickly leaves and stems, and
and the stem is just perfectly straight. It's easy to sort of mount and like put into the ground. We put these skewers on the bottom, and because the ground was like pretty firm and dry in that forest clearing, so we had to use like a stick to help set them in the ground.
So they're all real flowers.
Except for the last shot, though there are a lot of digital extensions in that shot, but in all of the other scenes they're all real.
Yeah, we went to several Trader Joe's in the neighborhood because flowers were out of season. So even though we were working with a couple of local flower shops and florists, they just couldn't guarantee the color, which is of course super important. And particularly black center versus yellow center to save on the VFX work. And Trader Joe's of all places every morning would get an import of Gerberas assorted, but they were very nice after seeing us a few times. Come every morning at 8 a.m. They're like, what's going on? Like, we're just curious because you guys keep grabbing the red ones. And we told them we're making a film. And of course they were super supportive and like, oh, we'll just every morning, like, we'll just pull them out for you. So about a month leading up to the shooting, we kept having to go back and grab flowers, which is really hard to keep flowers alive for that long. But we just didn't know, like, how many, like sometimes it was 2 stems, sometimes 10, and so we just like baby trim the stem like every couple of days.
Right.
Leading up to the shoot.
Some of them died, but
we had hundreds of flowers in our home. At a
almost the receipts, it was like almost 500 flowers
probably overall.
And
then we had some fake ones too in the mix, like the scene with the wheelbarrow. It was all fake underneath, and then just real on the very top.
When he places when the husband places the first flower in the water glass next to her bed to kind of cheer her up, and he knocks into the nightstand and the flower turns, and then and it's that moment where he decides that he's going to make her a tea out of this. And I thought it was, the first time I watched it, I was like, that's a weird reaction to, like, I knocked into the flower and now I have this idea that I'm going to make it into a tea. But I loved the what is it, the mortar and pestle, the grinding of it, and the water shot was really beautiful. And just kind of like the sound of it all, you know, because like because there's no dialogue, all of the sounds are so amplified and so present, you know. It's not just what he's doing, it's like what the film is doing in that moment, and so you're very there for it. So I just really love that process. And then when he goes crazy with all of the flowers, and you just have all of these like stems and petals, and everything is just like in the cabinets, and it's so evocative of someone who is almost doing a desperate act, is almost kind of crossing the threshold of what is normal and what is abnormal, and it's in that moment you're like, oh, he's probably going a little too far, isn't he?
Well, yeah,
something's gonna happen.
There is a question I'm desperate to ask, but it's a spoiler, so maybe I should wait till after we wrap.
That's
we could do a spoiler segment at the end, I guess.
Okay.
Up to you guys.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I loved this when you mentioned the wheelbarrow scene, because, like, one of my favorite kind of tropes in horror is, like, the EC Comics Twilight Zone, where you realize, oh, humans, they're going to get greedy, right? They get something magical, but that's not enough. And
that was my question, basically.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
Would they have been okay if he hadn't cut them all in one swoop? Would they have been able to sustain things a little longer, you think?
So my thought process with that, because we did leave some of it open to interpretation, I was like, if he doesn't do this, then Rose is going to have another miscarriage. That was what I thought from it, was like, it's like putting a Band-Aid over a bleeding wound, you know. It's just not gonna do it. What did you think as director?
For sure. I mean, this is all very cool to hear, because this was the most challenging aspect of the short, was the magic and how much to take and how much to show and how much to show, to convey that he's like being greedy, and then he has to pay a consequence for all of these things. So my intention all along was to show as little as possible. What can we get away with showing that will convey all of this? And that's where the animatic really came into play, was like just enough of these visuals, these repeated visuals, to make it feel like emotionally like he had gone too far. And the intention was always, taking a lot was that's where the line was, essentially. If you take one, he'd probably be all right. But if he just takes a lot and he hoards it,
or just one a day, maybe,
and you show hoarding. But yeah, that's where it gets tricky with stuff like this. Like, if for the feature version, we're going to have to establish a stricter rule structure, I think, for that, and possibly have the stakes even higher and it go on longer. He possibly even sells them or something. But
like one a day is a good call out, because like naturally nature would replenish itself, and he does. Like, one of my favorite moments in the film is Nick worked with Travis to make it a little more sinister, and when you directed him to give that smirk with the wheelbarrow, like that little grin, you're like, oh, he knows what he's doing, you know?
To sort of to actually answer a question from earlier about the performances, of how to get those kind of performances without dialogue, that's a good example. It's moments like that where you have to really focus on reacting to what you're seeing, and to make sure that the inner life of the actor is coming across with their expressions alone. So it's a lot of looking at tape on the camera. You know, it's a lot of like kind of green screen style acting, which, you know, can be a little bit challenging for actors, but so working with the actors to understand the story and have them having seen the animatic too, I think really helped.
Oh yeah.
Because it's a lot of face, but to answer then the question about the flowers, I think he took one flower. There was one flower in the forest in the beginning, and then he comes back. There's a ton of flowers. He takes all those flowers. So that, to me, when we arrived at that, that felt right. Like, he takes all of them each time. That way you can kind of communicate all of this stuff quicker, and the passage of time is quicker. Just like you don't see him slashing any of the flowers, you just cut right to the wheelbarrow full of flowers. Yeah. We were constantly doing things like that, of just sort of compressing time.
Audience assumption cuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for context for our listeners, the reason why he goes and, you know, decides to cut all these flowers is because when he made the first flower into a tea, his wife, who was suffering from depression from this miscarriage, you know, it had appeared that she had been in bed for a long time and sleeping and very depressed. And so he gives her this tea. And when she sits up in bed to drink it the first time, you see this like grimace on her face of like, I don't want to be awake. I don't want this tea. But like, you know, the steps that you go through when you're not feeling well to like, I'm going to make an effort. And so she sips the tea, and you can see her face shift to like, oh, what is that? You know? And she has this like little hopeful like look on her face when she really understands that, you know, not understands what the tea is, but she, you know, is ingesting it. She might feel something, she might taste something, but something clearly shifts on her face. And then, you know, you see her get better, essentially. And
I will admit my first association with those flowers was like opium poppies, but that probably just says something about me.
Yeah. So she's feeling better, and, you know, he is essentially wanting to keep that going. And so he, you know, goes and gets all of these flowers, which is why he goes and takes all of them to kind of keep her happy and healthy and like on the road to recovery for our listeners.
You nailed it. Yep.
Yeah, totally. And the cut on his arm.
The cut on his arm for...
It heals his arm first.
Oh, right.
Oh, at the very beginning.
That's right. Yep, that's the little bit of magic.
But she doesn't know that.
He keeps that from her.
Yeah. Yeah, the magic, so when he sees the flower, it kind of like little stuff comes out of it and like turns his eyes red,
little spickles.
You know? And then he, so that was like a little part of the magic, the healing of his cut, and then, you know, the kind of the healing of her was the magic that you were talking about, like, you know, doing too much of or too little of. I think it was the perfect balance for me personally.
And I love how some of those kind of like symbolic stand-ins can still be every bit as visceral. Like, I don't know if you guys have checked out any movies by like Alejandro Jodorowsky, but there's a scene in Holy Mountain where like a student group is getting massacred by a police squad, and it's all done like with complete artifice. So like the cops are like disemboweling people, and they're pulling like flowers and fruits and vegetables and birds out of the victims, and it still just feels like you're watching gore. You know, it's kind of amazing.
Wait, why are they pulling all that stuff out of the victims?
Because art movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That's
fucking cool.
I'm putting that on my list. That sounds
Holy Mountain,
amazing.
I think I've tried to show you once. It's out there.
Sometimes
just,
he can handle more than I can.
That makes
there's
me very happy to
also
hear.
a little bit of animal stuff in there, which is not fun, but
But you gotta take the bad, ugly, good, bad, ugly, all of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I loved the in the beginning of the movie, it kind of set the right tone, which I thought was a really because it is more of a subtle horror movie. When he is chopping wood, it's the perfect opener to set a tone of dread, because I immediately felt dread. You know, just the swinging of the axe, the
editing and the Foley on that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, the sound of that axe hitting wood, and then the chickens just like clucking and being very chaotic, and it just kind of set the tone for dread. And I was like, fuck, what's going to happen here? Like, I do not feel safe. Like, automatically.
I'm so happy to hear that, too. Because he got, like, burned by the electric fence a couple times trying to film
like a
light little zap.
Electric fence.
But you really wanted that chicken shot.
Yeah, the chickens were in from the very first draft. Because those chickens are real, and they're there on that farm.
Yeah, it was great. I loved that opening scene because it just really set that mood.
Yeah, thank you. That was a huge one, is how to build that momentum. Because I remember you were very specific with your storyboards. You're like, I want I want to build this tension and like kind of plant those seeds of the farm and
yeah.
You know,
well,
and
I
the
also
chicken
didn't
coop
want
and
too,
fixing the fence where he cut his arm.
too generic of like farm stuff. You can get away with a little bit more generic in a short, but I wanted to make sure that there was some kind of specificity to the actions he was doing. Like when he's fixing the fence, he's splicing the fence. He's actually doing a real thing that some farmers will do, you know. But that's great to hear. Thank you.
So what's the festival experience been like?
Oh man. Well,
I think humbling.
it's been.
first.
I mean, you won. So.
It's
feel
humbling
so
until it's
grateful,
not.
like,
Well, there are so many, you know, rejections, and then you finally get your first acceptance, and
then to win the first.
and then this was our first festival that we got into,
Oh, okay.
and really it's really the start of the run too, because the film wasn't fully finished when we were submitting to the other ones.
Yeah, we finished like early spring, end of winter.
Yeah, but it was incredible, and we love Brian and Gwen and the Portland Horror Film Festival.
Yeah,
like,
highly
whole
recommend.
family. It highly recommend
The
it.
talent level was just
Talent
phenomenal.
level was super high. Everyone was super nice. It felt like coming home.
Yeah.
And it was at our home theater, you know, at the
Nick and I always
Hollywood.
tease we love horror and metal fans because they're just
They're the nicest.
nice.
Yeah, I feel like because they can let it all out.
Yeah.
They have an avenue in which they can just
Little
express themselves.
camaraderie.
But it was such a joy to see this on the big screen with everybody, and then to for people to say that they felt something, that was the biggest
Big validation.
compliment.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was our aim, and you know that's what I love most about just this medium of filmmaking. Film is it's the empathy machine.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think truly, I think we made some lifelong friends at the festival, and I think just the gratitude and the compliments we got was just
Yeah, it was
like
very
you said, the
encouraging.
fact that people could see the heart behind it, and we like the gore, we like the blood, but really wanted to cultivate that kind of family dynamic and tension, and so much support. You know, one of our now friends, when we met them, but he called it poetry, and we were just blown away because this guy's so talented and was in the festival, you know, and I think that actually made me cry.
There was a lot of emotions,
so, yeah,
for sure.
A lot of emotion.
And for me, after so many years of kind of, you know, not doing this, and getting back into it and sort of being recognized, it felt very validating.
You're modest. He's been pounding the pavement, you know, to do it again, but it takes when you're just trying to ground yourself, life-wise, to spend so much money and effort making a film. I mean, it just
For sure.
takes years, and
takes years, and it took you know, getting over some anxiety and a lot of self-doubt, and to do this just meant the world. To feel validated and motivated for more, and we're very excited for the festival run to come. It's going to be a couple of years now, probably.
Yeah. So that's the future, basically, to keep for this film to keep.
That's the idea.
Okay.
Yeah, and we got into the Portland Film Festival as well.
Yeah, that's amazing.
This
The
fall,
next
which
one.
we got that to look forward to, and we're waiting to hear back from 12 others.
Okay.
yeah,
And
fingers
I got some
crossed.
advisement from one of my old film school festival advisors, and he recommended a whole bunch more to recommend to submit to, and we got a bunch
Who
of
knows?
recommendations.
Yeah, this could be going on for a couple of years, but we are already writing the next short, which we're hoping to film next spring. If, I mean, maybe too ambitious, but that's exciting. We're okay,
We can make it happen.
If just a handful of people like it, let's keep doing it. Let's keep.
Yeah, and approach it in the same way as this one, working within genre. Because we love genre. We love horror, but we love genre too. We love sci-fi. We love monster movies. But I love the confines of genre, of working within a playbook, and then you can sort of, you know, you sort of carry on the tradition of filmmaking within this playbook, but then your style emerges out of that. I find that very freeing. I find those kind of limitations very freeing.
Yeah.
Constraint is the mother of creativity.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And earlier in my career or in school, I always felt like I had to reinvent the wheel or something like that. But to anyone listening out there that's in school that wants to do this, carry the torch of tradition, really study it and really do it, because your style is going to come out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
AI. Nick threw a title card on there. No
Oh,
AI.
oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I was wondering that when I was watching the movie, because so many elements it didn't look like AI, but so many elements were just like, wow, that if that was real, that was serendipity, like the hot air balloons and things like that. So when I saw that, I was like, holy shit, that is impressive. So, yeah.
Yeah, we're pretty firmly against AI.
Fighting the good fight.
I hope it goes away forever. I don't think it will, but hopefully it reduces in its sort of cultural significance for sure, at least in filmmaking.
Well, I think
Yeah.
some of the
Right.
people we look up to too. It's like I don't know. For me, it's like because I also like to write on my own time, and obviously we work together. But Nick and I, we love like all those hours, like going to shout out to Horse Brass. Like we go all the
yeah.
time to brainstorm at the pub.
My
And
husband and I also go all the time
Yay.
to Horse Brass. It's
good
like,
vibe.
Yeah, we were literally just there yesterday, so.
Awesome.
See, because
Yeah.
it's so welcoming, and then
Yeah.
and we're just constantly like, if you don't want to take the hours to write and edit and cry over like the next revision and then also meet people, and like we met so many amazing talented crew and at the festival, and now like there's talks with other festival filmmakers of like, oh, how can we scratch each other's backs, and there's a whole collaboration behind not using AI. It's like if you don't crave that, it's like, why are you doing this? Like that's the whole heart of the story, is to get in there.
I think human effort is what we respond to in art. It's that sort of level of craft and expertise and passion and blood and sweat and tears that they put into these things, and you really lose that when things are easy. They're not going to feel as special, even if they're hitting all the marks. It's like a paint by numbers. It's going to feel vacant.
I love Kane Parsons has been
Yes.
very, very, very vocal about that.
We're big
He's
fans
like,
of Backrooms.
He said, art is how I process life,
Yeah.
and if I detect generative AI in somebody else's art, I immediately just check out.
Yep, I feel the same way.
He's wise.
I
for
think
his
it's going to
age, yeah.
devalue
Seriously,
projects.
are you kidding?
I'm like,
We also
oh,
love
man.
to work.
What was I doing when I was 20?
Right.
I know, don't get me started. I'm significantly older than him. I love working. I love making this stuff. Like
do
the
love
title you mentioned, the titles. The titles were made from real flowers too.
Yeah. Wow.
We shot those on a
shit.
blue screen from above, the buds and then the blooming flowers, potted gerberas, in like bunches, and then singles, all lit from the same side. And then I did composite those pieces together over a plate of soil. But those are all real flowers.
Wow.
Very cool.
It was fun to like get outside though. We
Yeah.
we worked with our DP and we just like rolled up our sleeves and got outside and in the dirt, touched some grass.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sam, have you, is this the first film that you've been a producer on, or do you have other producing credits?
Yeah, thank you. First film I produced, definitely, because I didn't come from a filmmaking background like Nick did, but I am a producer in the motion design world, and I've done everything from 2D and 3D animation, and I've worked with so many incredible studios, and I've been producing on-set commercials as well, and kind of just more on that side of things. So to kind of pivot finally into the filmmaking component was so rewarding, and I absolutely loved every minute of it.
Nice.
So that's why we're already working on like film number 2, because my producer brain is like, all right, let's keep the momentum going, but I'm hooked.
Yeah.
I'm like, if I could do it full time, I would. And I think that's the goal is for us to just keep making more and more films, as many as possible, God willing, in our lifetime. And
So your first instinct in response to how this one is doing so far and like getting jazzed about doing another one, are you thinking like, okay, next one may go bigger or next one may go smaller? Like what's more exciting?
I'm looking at the numbers. I've worked in my professional career. I mean, I've worked with projects that are $5,000 to $500,000, like small, like smaller businesses to clients like ESPN and Google and Netflix. So being able to kind of pivot in that way and apply the same dynamic to professional creative filmmaking is really rewarding. So yeah, so right now my brain is like we're already scouting our next location, and I have handwritten notes going to like drop into people's mailboxes that we, in case we want to use their property. And I've learned a lot about licensing and made sure to have all the, insurance policies in case, someone gets injured on the farm, because we actually used a real machete. So things like my brain is just kind of spinning it in the best way possible. Mm-hmm. But I'm so happy and proud of Nick, and just like love of my life. If we could keep doing this together, that would be the most rewarding thing possible.
Yeah, high tide raises all boats too. Like we love making films in Portland. We love working with Portland filmmakers and artists and craftsmen and vendors, and
which
we just
also
felt
leads
such
to
support here.
So much support, but also your studio. That Nick has his own studio, and all the funds basically from his studio, Snaggletooth Creative, it just pours back into our films. So trying to set that aside and manage.
Yeah, it's kind of a
future.
one for them, one for us model at the moment until maybe we can find a way to scale it and fundraise. Maybe the next project we don't have to pay for entirely ourselves. But to answer your question, next project, we kind of want to approach it like this, in using the same kind of limitations approach. Scale, a little bit bigger here and there, learn from some of the things that we could have done a little bit better from the last project, but, understand what things cost. And it's after all these years of like obsessing over filmmaking, obsessing over short story like creation too. It's this like, I see it as like a puzzle, as like this sort of, I started with the ending with Nurture and kind of worked backwards, but like a really good short to me feels a little bit like a puzzle and a dream. I mean, I guess there someone has a quote or whatever. Film is either like a dream or it's a documentary or I'm misquoting it and I'm kind of rambling at the moment.
No, I get it.
But we're feeling good.
We're feeling good about it. We were very fortunate. Like, shout out to Pro Photo Supply. They gave us a huge discount on all the camera equipment. So keeping that local energy too, or, really pushing the indie forefront, super important. We did have incredible crew that volunteered their time, and others like, I think our makeup effects artist, Chris Walker, absolutely incredible job, and we're already coordinating with him on the next one to get back into, planning those effects months ahead of time. And
we want to pay.
Yeah,
we want to pay.
Keep it local, keep it happy.
Everyone we can, essentially. Yeah. But it's indie film, so sometimes you gotta scratch backs here and there, and But yeah, the goal would be to keep making stuff.
Awesome. So, in our first conversation, which happened at Powell's where I work,
my favorite place.
Yeah, I got this text from a friend of mine who works in the coffee shop, and he said, "There's somebody here that I think you really should meet. They just won the best short at the Portland Horror Film Festival," and I was rushing to work late as always, and I was like, "Cool, whatever. Like, give me their contact info." So I got there, and he had already left, and somebody else had come up to me and said, "Oh, this connection, whatever." And I'm just doing my work, and then I get a page at the front of the store, and I was like, okay, they came back. So it was really fun to have you guys just like pop in and talk about, because, part of the thing with the podcast and most more relevant trivia is we're trying to build a community here in Portland, and it's the community it's not like we're building it. The community exists. We're just trying to bring it all together, bring this little community over here with this one and that one, and and kind of like have the tendrils out and make it bigger and better, and connect people with each other that are having creative endeavors or even just kinships and all of that. So it's really important for us to continue that work with building the horror community here in Portland. And so I was really happy that you guys reached out and came over. And, you know, because I was at work, I wasn't able to talk that long, but we had started talking about folk horror and wholesome horror, which I could have just, you know, sat there and talked all day about. And you had mentioned that Nurture felt like a wholesome horror movie. You know, I want you to talk a little bit more about that, because I looked up the definition for wholesome horror, and or what the internet thinks the definition is, you know, we all make our own definitions, but it's essentially, you know, horror that focuses on atmosphere and dread without a lot of scary moments, without a lot of gore, without a lot of high stakes, you know, or at least the high stakes don't really result in catastrophe. So the important thing, though, that I took away from is that wholesome horror generally has a happy ending, and Nurture does not have a happy ending. So I'm wondering how you marry the two ideas of having a horror movie that, you know, has atmosphere and dread but isn't very scary, but ultimately ends with even more grief and more devastation. It didn't really hit the wholesome horror, you know. I felt like it was more kind of folk horror in a way, without, because there is that, you know, magic there, which feels, you know, it's a nature magic, so who knows how old it is. But where do you sit on that?
Definitely. Well, I'll definitely defer to Nick too. We also, I think, are honestly trying to define that, because we've had such a mixed feedback from like how touching this was for people and how heartfelt, and they really, you know, connected with the piece. And there's glimmers of hope, but obviously it does end in tragedy. And I think for us, we were considering it was like, oh, this is kind of like a heartfelt horror when we talk about the first 10 minutes of Up, and kind of like, you know, obviously in Up, spoiler, Ellie dies, and you know, it's really, really tragic. But yeah, I think there was elements more of like us trying to hit a person's heartstrings and focus on that contrast. Yeah, so I do agree, actually. I don't think it really slots into wholesome horror the way we initially thought, because we also researched more about that with the mixed feedback that we got and received, and it's definitely folk horror for sure.
Yeah, we've been debating this all week.
Because it's like, what lane do we
It definitely ends in tragedy. So yeah, wholesome horror is not, I would not categorize it as wholesome horror necessarily.
No,
maybe horror with heart.
But, yeah.
But I don't know. I guess it's sort of an instinctual thing. I always wanted contrast in the story. I wanted a little bit of sweetness and the horror. So the construction of the story is definitely a horror film. It's a tragedy. But we want that heart, we want that emotion, we want that love to contrast with the horrors of the film. That was, in some of my favorite films have that sort of thing. And there are some that I think are in that sort of wholesome category, but it's really hard to define. And I think my favorite wholesome horror film is Poltergeist. And I think it's because the family survives.
Right.
There's horrors that they're dealt with, they're tested with, but they all make it out alive, essentially, in the end. But it dips into really horrific visuals, really cool creatures, a very scary notion that you can get sucked into the TV. That so many kids were just like
terrified.
Nightmares for years with Carol Ann and the TV. Just the image of her hands on the TV like that.
But you're totally right.
But there's
it's
so
not
few like that.
Wholesome.
I made a connection like there's a similar quality in, I forget what year it was from, but that movie Porno.
Oh yeah.
Someone does get their junk ripped off, but he's apparently fine, and all of our lead characters survive at the end. I was like, wait, nobody died in this? What the hell?
Well, it's weird. The definition of what wholesome horror is it's really hard to define it. Like,
Oh,
for
it's so
me,
hard.
I think it's something that's kind of fun and doesn't have anything too offensive in it. So it's usually like the films of Tim Burton, like
Yeah.
Beetlejuice, Monster Squad,
Sleepy Hollow.
Sleepy
Yeah.
Hollow, The Lost Boys.
Oh,
something
yeah.
Like
that.
films that
Yeah.
you can show your 12-year-old
Yeah.
kid
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
something.
But like, I had a friend tell me, "Oh, maybe you guys are leaning into horror mans, like horror romance." I was like, "Yeah, but it's not really romance either. Not really.
Horror
It-
mance?
not my
Horror,
Yeah.
horror romance.
horror romance."
Like romance and fantasies, romantasy, and so horror-mance is horror and romance.
Yeah. But I was like, yeah, no, we really, like, it's definitely folktale, but you're 1,000% right. Like, we agreed, like, this whole week, we're like, it's not that wholesome, but there's a soft spot that's there.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
and kind of perhaps, well, no, it was around before that, obviously, but like maybe it ramped up like post 9/11. There was a very cynical nihilist vibe going through a lot of horror for a while.
Yeah.
That for me got old pretty quick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
torture porn
Yeah.
era. Yeah.
Yeah, I just think it's good writing, you know? I mean, I honestly think it's just good storytelling to have your audience connect with the characters and the characters connect with each other, you know? And then whatever stakes there are feel higher because you are there feeling it with them and you're rooting for them and you can see that they love each other and that they're going through something and you just want what's best for them. And then when shit goes south, it sucks. And you know, it's so I'm not a weirdo.
Of
you
course
guys.
not. Of course not.
But I've seen this movie like 14 times now because my husband just watched it last night or yesterday for the first time. So I like watched it with him.
That is pretty weird. Actually.
It is kind of weird. Well, I watch it so much because I like to analyze movies and I like to have thoughtful discussion on movies. And, you know, I have a really shitty, you know, midlife brain right now that has a lot of lost thoughts and rambling moments. So I need to kind of really, you know, soak that stuff in to focus my thoughts on it. So I watched it a lot to analyze it and kind of really, you know, get in there. Why I'm talking about this is because I've cried like 5 times during this movie. Like at the end when she is, you know, when she finds him, I just like, I feel for her, you know, because she's gone through this, the initial loss that she went through, and she was going through a deep grief and depression. And then she's feeling hopeful again and joy, and you can tell that they love each other and he loves her. He's obviously willing to do anything for her. And then what happens. And there's a tear every single fucking time that I've seen that dumb movie. Not dumb. God damn it. I'm just, yes. Anyways.
Viewers can't see, but I'm getting choked up because life, it is hard. And I think that was really important, you know, for us, is to like just be honest with life, because you know, sometimes things really do suck and you don't always get what you want from it. And yeah, like we personally really do want a baby, and we've known a lot of people, and it seems, I don't think it's the numbers necessarily have grown with miscarriages, but I think more women are talking about it, and men too. You know, because I also think it's important for the men to have the spotlight shown on them, because, you know, usually it's about, oh my gosh, you know, how your wife must be feeling, but it's also your husband who's suffering greatly, and just kind
having
of making
them cry was very important.
having
to
them
us.
cry, like, there were so many moments on set, like Travis and Kaylee nailed it, but there were a lot of moments where we had to pause or take a breather, where we would, you know, step aside and talk. There were a couple moments, like, you know, the crew, you know, had to step away so we could have a private moment together too and discuss how to hit home with everything. And yeah, like you said, I think it's okay to show that things don't always have a happy ending. Like Rose gets what she wants, but to what cost? Kind of situation. And would it have been better to just like kind of accept what life gives you.
Yeah. I always wanted a tragic ending, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
There's
mean,
something
You
satisfying
did want
about
people
them
to cry. So
when
it worked.
when the story concludes, but it's happy sad, we call it.
Happy
Yes.
sad.
I think
Yes,
it's one of the best formulas in music as well.
That's our
Yeah.
genre. Nick and I always are
Happy
like,
sad.
we love
It's the
happy
best.
sad.
It's the best feeling.
I'm a
you
huge
know?
shoegaze fan, so I'm right there with
Oh
you.
yeah, yeah. There's a lot of Radiohead in the
Oh,
music
yeah.
sort of cues that I give them.
Mm-hmm.
I was getting some
Sail to the Moon.
Midsommar vibes from the
Oh,
score as
yeah.
well.
Midsommar, very much too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
When you mention happy sad, I think of The Descent, which kind of, I mean, it's grief horror and folk horror, I would say. But that ending, the original UK ending,
The real ending.
not the American ending. Have you guys seen the film?
It's been a number of years. And
Once
I
upon
forget
a
the
time.
difference. I obviously remember the claustrophobia and the monsters, but
Yeah, the ending is she's basically trapped in the cave, and she sees her
Her escape
Deceased.
was a hallucination.
the hallucination
of her daughter.
twist. Yeah,
but she's
There's a
kind of at
birthday
peace.
cake?
Yeah, because
Is there a birthday
that's her.
cake?
She's
Yeah.
hallucinating,
Oh,
that.
Right.
yeah.
But she's at peace. But you know, eventually she's gonna die.
Right.
Yeah.
But there's like this.
Or mutate into one of those things.
Yeah.
Could be. Yeah.
That
Yeah,
was-
but the point is we don't know. But it kind of has this like, okay, this character who's been through so much through the whole movie, this one part of the film at the end, she seems
Yeah.
like she has mental
Yeah.
peace. The UK version, they have this whole add-on thing, which
Yeah.
is-
she escapes.
she escapes, and it's just like, it's
Yeah.
ridiculous. Or it takes the power of the movie away. I think.
That's a
So
great
that's the
point.
UK ending. Is the
No,
the
no.
escape one?
No,
I thought
that's
the UK
the American one.
Yeah,
UK
the
is the
UK
dark.
is the
The one-
birthday cake one.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that would be an American choice.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
That switched. Yeah.
I think it goes back. We've been talking about that question too. Is like, why do we like horror? Like we love it, and we mentioned this in the bookstore too. Talking to you, it's like, why do people gravitate towards horror, towards fear? And I think it's just the raw emotion. Like you're kind of just forced to face it. Like you can't run. It is here. You must
It's this
embrace.
very, like,
yeah.
paradoxical combination. It's escapist and confrontational. You know?
Yep.
Yeah.
I love
Yep.
that.
Yeah, me too.
So
Yeah.
you both have loved horror your whole lives. Is it like?
I think I've been afraid to admit that I've loved it my whole life. I remember writing a
This is
very
the safe space.
yeah, I wrote a very gruesome story once at like 6 or 7 years old, and I think I scared my parents. And then I just like,
Yeah, you were probably into it earlier than
oops.
I was. I was attracted to, but I was terrified of horror movies as a kid. But at a certain point, something's clicked, and honestly, I think it was Poltergeist. That was the key for me. That got me into horror films where I wasn't like terrified. I wasn't frightened by
It's
them.
one of the last holdouts of when a PG movie could
Yeah.
get away with a fuck ton of stuff.
Well, and I know the moment I think I gravitated towards horror because I remember being in a haunted house and I was very scared and I got lost, but then Dracula appeared behind me and like grabbed my shoulders and I was like, you're touching brains and everything, but then he like held my hand and led me out. And
Aw.
Oh,
sweet.
that's
and
really
I was like,
sweet.
oh, vampires. Yeah.
Yeah. But then when you meet people that like horror films, you connect with people that love them so much, and they're your favorite people.
Yeah.
That really pushes it over the edge too.
Yeah, I did a at the Seattle Crypticon, which is a horror convention every year up in Seattle. The three of us are panelists.
Nice.
I've only done it a few years. They've been doing it for like 10 years. But I did a panel called The Science of Horror, essentially looking at physiologically like why our brains and and why we keep going back to horror when really we should be like all the fear responses that we have in our body should be telling us not to do that anymore. And it was a really fascinating. I read a couple books and yeah, I think the why we love horror is so complicated because there's literally a physical reaction that we have when we watch horror a lot, it changes us, and it changes our responses to scary things, and to things that make our heart races, and give us clammy hands, and makes us want to run away. We have a physical reaction that actually feels good, and so we keep going back to that. So there's that physical reaction, there's that safety element that I'm scared but I'm safe, and then there's so many other things. Like, a lot of people watch horror movies together, and so there's a social element to that. A lot of horror movies are funny, and so there's you can start associating laughter and the feel good of, friendships and communities with horror. And some people like to be scared. I love to be scared. I like to be scared since I was a really, really little girl, and I kind of foster my environment and my life around the macabre and around that feeling of there's no place safer than I feel than in the dark, and so I think that it's such a multi-layered response, is why do we love horror, and it's going to be different for everybody, but I do think that when I do encounter people who are like, oh my god, how can you watch that spooky stuff, and you're just like, oh, honey.
That's a fantastic point, though. It does. It gives you that physical sensation, too. It's I'm okay.
Yeah.
It's electrifying.
Some combination of cortisol and dopamine,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yes, totally.
But then there's a toughness that you get to when you're not frightened by them any longer, like I was as a kid.
Yeah.
That feels like an accomplishment.
Mm-hmm.
And when you
And
when
then
you work,
in our jaded ass older age, if somebody does come along that can nail you, it's oh my god!
Yeah.
it's a slow walking guy with a knife behind you. Oh, it'll be fine. But working within horror is you can express the full spectrum of the human experience.
Yes.
And I find that very empowering.
Absolutely. That's kind of, I think, why horror in film makes such interesting stories to tell, because, like you were saying, there is a structure, there's, there is this framework to build your story around, but there's also a window, and you can open that window and, go outside that constraint, and that's when the weird shit really happens, which is really fun. But yeah, there's to your point, and your film is the point, is that there's dread, there's love, there's grief, there's drama, there's levity, there's all of these things that can be told, and listeners, their film is 13 minutes long. It's not an hour short film, it's a 13-minute short film. So there's just so many opportunities within horror to tell such multi-layered human experiences, that it is ultimately the best genre out there.
So is folk horror one of your favorite subgenres, or was it?
Oh yeah, 100%. Because we both love reading lore in general. Junji Ito is a big, we're huge fans of the author, and I think Miyazaki also pulls from lore, and there's, I don't want to speak for Nick, but for me, I have books upon books of Russian lore and Nordic lore, and I think folk tales do a great job of teaching the balance of life and death. And
yeah, for sure. I definitely love both folk tales and folk horror as a genre in film. Folk horror I love especially because you can do it for relatively cheap, and it looks magnificent, because it has to take place outside for the most part. You'll have to construct villages or things like that too, or a man made of wicker.
We were just talking about Wicker Man too.
Yeah, but no, I do love folk horror. I love the texture of it. I love the feeling of it. I love the when I first saw Wicker Man for the first time, that I was more blown away than I think I'd seen any other movie. It I had no idea what was going to happen.
Yeah.
I was young, and we sort of threw it on. I forget the context, but I just love the texture of it. I love the design of the world of folk horror. The way the posters look, the way the glyphs and like title cards can look, the tapestry art. I think it's fantastic.
Plus, it's just like fun to learn about cultures.
Yeah.
And yes,
And
you learn about the history of a place.
It's weird.
Too.
Yeah.
Really
And
weird.
every place has a history like that.
Yeah.
Every place in the world. I would love to see a great folk horror film from every corner of the globe.
Yeah.
'Cause
And that's
there's-
what makes folk horror so interesting is because you have, like, if you tap into something, that we haven't seen before, it's unsettling and really creepy, and just like it can go places that you are not expecting. Because all the rituals and the weird masks and the, it gets strange.
Super
It really
strange.
seems like we've been kind of going through like a renaissance of folk horror the last decade.
It's kind of having a moment right now, yeah.
Oh yeah.
It seems like there's been a lot.
Yeah. Well, and of course, like you guys mentioned, Midsommar was a big inspiration for this. Just with her grief, right? She loses her family. She, becomes like queen of this village.
Well, the flowers too.
The flowers, of course. Yeah.
They use flower titles.
But it's like you said too, Heather. It's so weird. It's just weird and wonderful, and you learn so much about other people and their perception of the world, and
And the little details in Midsommar that upon rewatch you can sort of anticipate the ending. Love that kind of stuff. And in folk horror you can really embed that into the production design and the art of just everything that's being represented on screen and
What the runes mean and yeah.
It's funny because the glyphs stood out for us too, and we're so thrilled that you guys felt connected to those too, because he made a poster for it, and we're like, ooh, should we have glyphs in every movie now?
Yes.
Like,
That's
a tapestry of sorts.
Kinda. I mean, I do want to for the next short,
It'd be
and
fun.
possibly like the next several. If we make a feature in the next like 3 to 5
What do you mean
years.
if?
When?
When?
But for I see all these shorts in this this particular kind of slate of films kind of having the same branding too. So for sure, having like a screen print poster and a graphic poster, maybe doing the same kind of tile style.
Yeah, and
for each
pull
one.
inspiration from, like you said, all over the globe, different kind of lore and styles, and
Yeah,
who knows?
depends on the story, but yeah.
I had mentioned this when I met you the first time, a movie called Starve Acre. I really think you guys should watch that. It's a folk horror from somewhere in England where this couple loses a child, and they live in this isolated farm. And there's something about the tree. There's this tree out in the backyard. There's something about it. I forget what it is. But ultimately, this rabbit hare, comes into their lives, and they think it's their son reanimated. And they treat it as though it is their child.
That's cool.
It's a weird movie. It is so good.
Ooh,
It's
is it
one of
like
my
Has Matt-
favorites.
Shapeshifter?
Has
Is that-
Matt Smith in it, right?
I don't know.
Oh,
Starve
Nick just
Acre.
wrote it down. Like, we are down because we're also reading the book you
Matt
recommended, The Fisherman, which
It's like
is
one of the
so good.
doctors in Doctor Who.
Okay, I want to throw an oddball at you then.
Yes.
You might have already seen it. I believe it's Turkish. It's called Born of Fire. It's about a classical flautist who gets the call to battle an evil djinn through music.
What? That sounds great.
Yeah.
Oh my
Sounds
gosh.
amazing.
It's basically if the song "The Devil Went Down to Georgia" were adapted into a movie by Jodorowsky.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, we've been doing a deep dive, so it's like there's so many movies that we could just, these two would be next, because we also watched a Slavic folklore called V.
Oh,
which is-
yeah.
Yeah. That was so good.
Yeah, one of my favorites of the last couple of years was Lamb.
Oh gosh.
Have you seen that?
Oh, that's
As
weird.
Naomi Rapace.
Yeah.
And it's
That's on my list.
That
it's
is-
really good.
It is really good. It's very strange.
Yeah.
The ending is
Don't.
just be prepared.
Be prepared. I like it. We also watched an interesting one called Celia, which was about Australian lore and the hobby.
Speaking of hares, it's
Yeah.
about rabbits as well.
Okay.
That was
A
fascinating.
little bit less of a horror film, but horror in its construction for
Yes.
sure. In sort of just the ruthless nature of Australian youths bullying each
Oh,
other.
I hate that.
During
and
the
mean
surge
parents.
of communism.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's during the Red Scare, and this
Yeah.
this young girl is not allowed to play with her neighbors because they're communists, and she also has a rabbit that gets taken from her because there's this sort of crackdown on this overpopulation of rabbits within Australia during that time period, like late 70s, I think.
Which I was like, we have to research because I know nothing about that.
But throughout the film, there's all these magical realism moments of this. What's it called?
Hobbia.
The Hobbia, are these like
Like
goblin-like creatures, these blue kind of goblin creatures that she has these visions of that
Yeah.
make their way into the story, into its sort of kind of surprising ending.
Yeah.
It's a bit more of a magical realism in that way, but it's very interesting. A lot of it takes place outside, the kids playing in the forest in this like local quarry.
I love these recommendations because like there's just so much out there that we don't know
It's a
about
bit
other
overwhelming,
culture.
yeah.
That
It's
was on.
amazing.
So to shout
Yeah.
out, Severin, they did this box set release, All the Haunts Be Ours.
Oh hell yeah.
Oh, wow.
We've been making our way through. We've been renting that for Movie Madness. We've rented 3 of the discs so far, and that was one of our favorites. V was on there. Eyes of Fire was on there.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen that one?
One of my favorites on there, The White Reindeer.
Oh yeah.
No, we didn't see that one yet. I
We
don't think.
started that one.
Oh wait,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
it's
that's
a-
the
It's a Finnish.
Finnish one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
really
We
good.
gotta
Very
finish that one.
interesting.
Yeah. And also, like when you were saying doing research, there's a lot of Korean films that have come out, and sometimes you watch them, you're like,
Oh yeah.
a lot of references go over your head. So it's like there's the one that came out a couple years ago called Exhuma, I think it's called, and that deals with a lot of Korean folklore. So
Oh,
like I
fantastic.
saw it, and then I'm like, I kind of am not getting like what they're talking about. So I went back and like read a lot about it, and then when you watch it again, you're like, okay, now I
Oh,
understand
cool.
kind of what they're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. Is it more
I
like
love Korean
paranormal
Korean
kind
filmmaking.
of?
There is a
like
lot of it's like it's almost like 3 movies in one,
excellent.
and it's like there's a lot of information in there, but the movie works. At least it worked for me. I
Cool.
thought it was pretty spectacular.
Yeah, we were going to mention Tale of Two Sisters too.
Oh,
Yes.
It's based
Yeah.
on a folk tale as well.
That
Beautiful
movie's-
film.
That movie's scary to me. I don't know what it is, but I've watched it a couple times, and every time it's very
That
unsettling.
wardrobe scene, man. That is
Yeah.
Ooh, a little
that's a
prickly.
killer.
Yeah, that box that you were talking about, they came out with a second one too.
Oh.
And the thing that's nice, I mean, it's a hefty price to buy it, but it comes with books too, like almost
Cool. No, we just rented it, so we just get the discs.
like So it comes with, and the books have a lot of information kind of about some of the folklore
Definitely
and the
shout out
inspiration.
Movie Madness. for
Shout out
Yeah,
Movie
yeah,
Madness.
Movie Madness,
Fuck
Portland, baby.
yeah,
Hell yeah.
best video rental store.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so I think now is a good time to transition into any of the recent horror movies that we've seen lately since the last time we recorded. Is there anything, before we get into that, is there anything you want to add or say in regards to the film or anything coming up for
thank
you guys?
Yeah, I mean, we love to connect with local people. Like you said, it's so important for us to connect with the community and Portland, first and local first. So I think Snaggletooth.tv, that's Nick's studio.
Yeah, and Snaggletooth_TV on Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Nick W. Snyder is my Instagram handle. But yeah, we'd love to connect with people.
Yeah.
We'd love to,
Anyone who
scratch
wants to
backs
collaborate.
and collaborate and
Absolutely.
talk shop and hang out. And we just love this. We love living here. We love making stuff here. And we're
Truly
also
some of
trying
the-
to grow the business too, the Snaggletooth
Yeah.
client business, making projects and doing different creative things for brands as well. But yeah, we love to
That's our
connect.
goal. Yeah, just
That's awesome.
connect with us. We're going to make
And then you could
more.
also follow Nurture on Instagram too.
Yeah.
We have an Instagram, nurture.film.
Awesome.
And that you'll be able to get information about what festivals it's accepted.
Oh,
Yep,
yes.
for sure.
Thank
And
you.
we're posting a lot of behind the scenes stuff. I recently posted how we made the flowers on there. On the website, there's a pretty extensive breakdown of some of the behind the scenes. But we'll be doing more of that. We'll be sharing stuff from the festival circuit and
funding
and-
more future projects
and-
like we talked about.
Yeah,
And,
exactly.
it'll
We
be-
might
it'll
be doing
fun.
some special effects previs and tests for the next project too that we
Awesome.
might be sharing.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
I
Lots to
think
come.
doesn't Crypticon have a film contest
They do, yeah.
They do,
or
yeah.
something? Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So they are the first weekend in May. So they just happened, and they'll come around again in May. But yeah, you might want to look into that because it's it's a really big part of the event there.
Amazing.
Yeah.
for sure.
Thank you.
Okay, so as is my way, I have a lot, but I'm not going to talk. I'm not going to talk about them endlessly. I'm just going to kind of talk about a few in depth. But so I saw the new movie Kraken. You know, I haven't done a lot of IMDb deep diving into like directors and all of this stuff because I've been busy. But Kraken came out, and essentially it's, you know, this small fishing town, and the fish are dying, and there's somebody sees something weird, and they go to investigate, and there's this giant tentacled monster living in this little, I don't know what it is, lock maybe. And yeah, it was okay. It was like, it was a good movie. I just wanted more monster. I came for the Kraken, and I got just a bunch of interpersonal drama, and I didn't get the Kraken until later. And I was like, well, you know, it was
You've
good.
seen the character's inner Kraken.
I know, yeah. It was good, but it wasn't my favorite. I was
Release
hoping
the inner
for
Kraken.
a little bit more of a big monster movie, but
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah, that is a disappointment. I'm a big monster movie fan, and I mean, I love it. You know, Godzilla and
Yeah.
Gremlins, and and it just when you don't really like get the full.
Gotta pay it off.
I don't think they had the
Embrace.
budget. I just really don't
Yeah,
think they had the
it's-
budget for it. You know, it was it's like Swedish or something. It's not an American movie. And I think that they had a really beautiful location, and they had, you know, a good story and some good actors. And they were like, how are we gonna do this monster? And they're like, I don't know, just like throw a big shadow in there sometime and we'll figure it out.
Sometimes that Jaws approach goes a long way. But you do gotta show the shark
right.
at two.
Yeah,
Show a little, yeah.
Jeff, do you have any new movies?
I only saw one.
Only one?
I only saw one.
All right.
I was gone for a week. And
Yeah,
then,
that's true.
This was a movie that came out earlier this year. I know you saw it.
Okay.
I'm like, I don't even know why I watched this, but Forbidden Fruits.
Oh my God. I
It's,
can only imagine you watching Forbidden Fruits.
Well, I was like, okay, it's basically, it's kind of a modern day Craft, Mean Girls,
It's very Mean Girls.
Heathers. All those movies were done better than this one. It's basically about a bunch of kind of vapid girls who work at a clothing store in the mall who just happen to be in a coven, and I kind of hated it, and then I kind of loved it, and then I ended up hating it because it was just like, oh, this is going to be really trashy, but it's not trashy enough, and then it's like, it takes a long time to get going. I was like, God, when is this witchery going to start?
It doesn't.
And there's something about female relationships and friendship going on, but I couldn't catch any of that.
Yeah.
And they're trying really hard to do that, but
And it
yeah,
only
so-
turns into like any kind of semblance of horror in the last 10 minutes or something like that.
Was
Yeah.
it like cliche, like the seances, the sister bonding?
a little bit,
A
little
but
bit.
I also realize I'm not the target audience
Yeah.
for this movie.
Fair.
I think it's probably for
I'm barely the target audience, and
I think it's for
love
like
those
17-year-old girls
Yeah.
is what I think who the target audience is, and maybe 17-year-old boys because
Yeah.
they're all dressed like they're in a strip club or something
Sure.
like that.
Yeah.
They work-
Oh
work
my
at-
God. Yeah.
And they work at the mall. But yeah, so I'm like, and plus a lot of the dialogue, I'm like, what are they saying?
Times are tough at malls. You have to go out of your way to get the customers in.
Like I'm gonna vom for
Oh my
for
God.
vomit.
Right.
I'm like,
yeah.
I gotta catch up on all the lingo for
Yeah.
this. But yeah, it dropped on Shudder.
Uh-huh.
Whatever.
Oh, okay,
So I'm
yeah.
like, looks like there's some appealing parts, but no.
No.
So
Just didn't do it.
No. I'm
Alright.
57. It's not gonna,
There's some really great witch. I mean, I can't think of a recent one though. So it's kind of a bummer that it didn't really land the plane because like some of our favorite are, they're years ago, like The Witch and stuff with Anya Taylor-Joy and
Yeah.
So
It's been a hell of a decade for witch movies, man. There's been
it
some
really
good
has.
shit.
Yeah,
There are a lot of
Yeah.
witch movies at the Portland Horror Film Festival this year too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, a lot at the festival. They were great.
Yeah, a lot of very good ones.
Yeah, I think the last 10 years for witch movies has been kind of like what the aughts were for zombie movies. It seemed like there were so many
That's
zombie
fair.
movies,
Yeah.
from the year 2004 to like 2012 or whatever, and then now it's like witch movies.
I'm here for it. Let's see. I've got two folky ones. I guess I could talk about. I did finally catch up on Hokum,
Okay.
Nice.
and I really dug it. It's probably my second favorite
Oh,
in,
okay.
in the McCarthy trilogy. Not a whole lot to say that you guys haven't already said, but Adam Scott was fantastic.
Yeah.
Does a really good job of being unlikable but very watchable.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, very watchable.
The story, I don't know if I want to say it's a flaw, but I did notice it. It's a little disjointed. Like elements don't totally tie together. Like Adam Scott's arc kind of seems to be like a subplot, and the witch character is almost a Deus Ex Machina, but it all kind of works. I am really curious if McCarthy can or plans to keep pulling films off in this format with like one rural location, 4 characters, murder mystery, and there's a ghost.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If he can, more power to him. Constraint is the mother of creativity, but that is a very narrow box to paint yourself into. I loved what's his name? Jackass was an amazing character.
Oh yeah, I don't remember.
He's the monster
Oh okay.
that appears on the TV.
Oh, okay.
And the canopy bed scene reminded me a little bit of the tent from Oddity.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's one death in there that is profoundly creepy.
Yes.
It's the last situation you'd want to be tripping in.
Uh-huh.
And then I guess this one's from last year. I caught a movie called Rabbit Trap.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah. Reminded me a little bit of a McCarthy joint.
Was that
actually.
the auditory one where they're like listening to
Yeah.
like nature? Or what were they listening to?
They are doing like field recordings.
Okay, yeah.
And that was the thing that like the first act like totally sold me because like our protagonists are a married couple who make electronic music. So she's kind of the musician and he's like her producer engineer. And she's an amazing character. Like I think she was modeled after several of the early lady electronic pioneers. Her character's name, I think, is meant to remind us of like Delia Derbyshire and Daphne Oram. And then her personality, she's got like this kind of like nature goddess energy that reminds me of like Suzanne Ciani a little bit. So the first act where we're kind of watching them being this like couple that's very much in love but also clearly dealing with some problems, I was totally like seduced and hypnotized. And they come afoul of a fairy ring while making field recordings. And then this weird little kid shows up and ruins everything.
Yeah.
For them and for the movie.
Yeah, that's kind of why I hadn't seen it, because the trailer, I was in it for a while, and then that little weird kid showed up, and I was like, oh, this doesn't look like a character
Yeah.
that would resonate. I don't know.
Yeah. Second act was kind of a slug, I thought.
Okay. Yeah.
It does redeem itself a bit towards the end. It gets a little more psychedelic. But yeah, just being a fan of synthesizers myself, I was really wanting it to be mostly about them as musicians, and it's like, oh, maybe they'll use sound to battle the evil forces or whatever. But I was, yeah,
Okay.
that was a pipe dream. And then other than that, yeah, I have seen a lot of movies, but they were the same movies.
Yeah.
I saw Obsession for the second time,
Sure.
and Backrooms for a second and third, and I'm going back for a fourth tomorrow.
Of course.
Nice. You're obsessed.
Little bit.
Wow.
It's a cultural moment that I'm really enjoying living through, and it feels like it's been a long time since I almost forgot what that felt like.
Yeah.
Milking it for all it's worth.
Yeah, it just set another record, I think, like this week or today.
Oh, that's awesome.
Wow.
500 million.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys can join the segment if you would like. You don't obviously like. I watch just too much to even talk about. But do you guys have any movies that you saw recently that you want
Oh, thanks.
Mention.
We've been watching a lot
We've been
to
binging.
prepare for this.
to?
So a lot of the lists, the things you mentioned of these different genres. We've been watching a lot of old movies.
Yeah.
We've been making I think the biggest shout out is all the Hauntsby Hours box set. All those little gems, those little folk horror gems. My favorite probably on that list was Eyes of Fire.
Okay.
I'd never heard of it, never seen it for sure. It's, yeah, I guess.
But the lore was so eerie and
Yeah,
about
so
the,
it's what is it? It's a 1983.
like
It's
when it was filmed, about
But it takes
French
place-
colonialism and settlers.
yeah, right
moving.
before America became America. It's these
Right.
British settlers, these British colonialists that were being persecuted for their religion. This religious figure and his followers make their way into the woods and try to find a settlement, essentially to sort of set up shop, and the forest punishes them for it.
Oh wow.
In
Yeah.
very elaborate, in
Well, and they have
insanely psychedelic ways.
And there's a witch in their party that they think she's just mentally unwell.
There's witchcraft, there's forest magic, there are faces in a tree, like human faces that are coming out of a tree.
Terrifying.
There are mud people that are reminiscent of the Uruk-hai from Lord of the Rings, kind of being bred out of the mud of the base of this tree.
But the special effects are not going to make you like jump necessarily in that way because of the way it was filmed, but it is kind of eerie with like lightning, like that really charming lightning bolt technology.
That sort of 80s cell animation lightning that you saw all the time. It's just super charming. It's one of those things to throw on at a party.
Yeah.
You can have on in the background, or sit down and watch it fully, which you probably should. I should recommend that first. But really charming, really interesting. The special effects in particular are some of the thing, like the practical effects and stuff. Some of the stuff I've never quite seen before. So that was a really fun.
Well, and we
gem.
both really liked Weapons, which came out a couple of years ago. So
That was
last year in 25. Yeah.
Oh yeah, last year was a good year.
Yeah.
You know. Last year was a really good year for film.
And then of course Backrooms this year, and Obsession, of course, is very scary.
You know, when you mentioned Eyes of Fire, that was like really nobody could find that. It didn't get a DVD or even Blu-ray release until that on that box set. For the longest time, like at Movie Madness, you just had to rent the VHS, and it was like so dark that it's like it was sometimes hard to see all that stuff.
It looks
but-
beautiful.
Yeah, the Blu-ray looks.
Yeah, the transfer,
Yeah,
whatever
the
they
Blu-ray
did,
looks
and went back to the
incredible.
negatives.
job. Yeah. And then also digging into really old ones, like shamefully, I hadn't seen Rosemary's Baby until recently.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and I was like, I can't believe I put it off for so long. So,
Not too close.
yeah, sorry, Nick's guiding me to the mic. But yeah, of course, that really hits home, and you just like feel for all the characters, and I love the monster, the idea of it, with this demonic baby. I was like, ooh, this is great inspiration. But yeah,
It's a masterclass in filmmaking, though.
Yeah.
It's just-
Stay away from anybody giving you chocolate.
exactly.
it kind of gets into that sort of not wholesome horror, but like it's not that scary until the
Yeah.
very end. It's just sort of the build up.
Oh yeah. Well, and then
But it's just
alluding
excellent filmmaking.
alluding to all the social dynamics, like of how little women had any ownership of their lives, back then, and it wasn't that long ago where, you were just there to give birth and be a housewife and do your job, and
And it's wonderful, like who the villains are.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Anybody would trust.
Oh, I knew. I was
Right.
like, as soon as husband got mad at her, I was like, oh, he's gonna get it. You know?
No, but they're like the nicest, sweetest people ever.
Yeah, yeah.
Gordon, it's Ruth Gordon.
Ruth Gordon.
All right, I'm gonna rattle off my list here. There's a movie called Find Your Friends that just dropped on Shudder. I have not hated a movie like this in a very long time. These women are vapid and terrible. They're just terrible people, terrible friends. They essentially go into this, they like rent an Airbnb in the desert to party, and the local folk, want to take advantage of the fact that they're young women out there by themselves. So yeah, there's a redeeming penis ripping scene in the end, but that was about it. That was a hard pass for me. It was just very not enjoyable to watch. There's a new movie called Chum, which is a new shark movie. Not very good. It was very like the CGI shark was terrible. It might even be an AI shark. I don't even know, but it was fucking terrible. This like what is it?
All its teeth are in the wrong places.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, no.
There's a wedding party that goes out on this boat, and the boat catches fire, so this fisherman picks him up. But this fisherman is hell-bent on revenge of this one shark that killed his wife like years before. So he's using strangers to chum the water to get this shark to attack so he can try to kill it. It's a really dumb movie. There's a movie called Deep Water that I actually enjoyed. It's a aircraft crashes in the ocean, and it's basically a shark attack movie. So there's all
It
of these.
has Ben Kingsley, right?
Did you watch it?
No, but I saw
okay.
the trailer for
Yeah,
it.
yeah, it has
so
been.
like,
Yeah, it has him for a little while. He doesn't last long.
oh, spoiler.
I know. So, yeah, it's all of these survivors, and it's pretty brutal. Like, they kill a lot of people, like people that you're following for a while, like, oh, I know this guy's story, and we're watching him, and we think he's kind of a main character, and then he dies, and it just kind of goes like that for a long time. So that was pretty fun. Movie I loved was called Saccharin. So this is the second, what do you call not eating disorder, but like a diet pill horror movie that has come out this year. The first one was called, I think it was called Thinestrin, which was pretty decent. But this one, Saccharin, was really, really good. And it's essentially a diet pill that is created out of the ash of people. And this woman who is taking the pill starts to get haunted by the person that the pill is made out of, and she's losing weight like so rapidly, but she also has an eating disorder where she just binges all the time. So she's taking this pill, she's losing all this weight, she's binging, which they make to it's very horror food driven. And then you have this ghost that is, anyways, it was really good. There was a movie called Pitfall that was okay. This like serial killer is making these giant pits in the woods, and this group of friends are camping, and one of them gets trapped in there, and then they all have to battle it out. I watched the new Faces of Death remake. I had absolutely no interest in it, and it was pretty decent. It was about a serial killer who was essentially recreating the Faces of Death scenes with real people, and this woman who's a web content moderator thinks that they're real while everybody else thinks that they're fake, and she kind of goes and investigates and tries to find this guy. So it was decent. I did not think I was gonna like it.
It's a very interesting take on a remake.
Yeah,
absolutely.
it was, and it was well done. One of my favorite movies of the last couple of weeks is called Frankie Maniac Woman. This is about a woman who is a singer, and she goes to Hollywood to kind of, make it big, but she isn't she's not conforming to the beauty standards that would make somebody, a pop star. And she essentially goes on this murder rampage, and she just starts killing all of these beautiful girls and all of these like producers, and she does it with gusto, and she is a really good serial killer. It was just a really fun slasher. It gets really weird. Highly recommend that one. I watched it on a festival website, and I paid it was like when the festival movies move digitally, and then you can like kind of rent them that way. So I rented it. If you go to the website called Just Watch and type it in, you can probably find it. I think it's still there. I rented it for like $15. I watched the movie Hungry, which is killer hippos in the bayou. That was a really silly movie, but I had a lot of fun with it. It was just, don't go in expecting very much.
It's what you want from a Hungry Hippos
exactly,
movie.
It is what I wanted from a killer hippo movie. I watched a movie called Hold the Fort, which was a horror comedy that the trailer just looked like it was going to be a no-brainer for me, and it didn't quite hit. This like new couple moves into this neighborhood, and every year on a certain day, I don't know, like solstice or something, there's a hell pit that opens up, and all of these monsters come out, and so they all band together in like this community house and battle the monsters. And then when they win, they're safe for another year, and it's a very idyllic neighborhood. It wasn't very good. Last movie is a movie I watched last night, and it was from the 90s called Mosquito, about these mutant giant mosquitoes. There's like a alien spacecraft that crashes to Earth. A mosquito lands on the alien and sucks its alien blood and becomes this big giant mutant of itself, and then it like lays all these eggs. So now there's like hundreds of them, and these people in the woods, like these campers and forest rangers and stuff.
Gunnar Hansen
with
a chainsaw.
Yes,
I remember this movie. I saw it, and it's like very goopy.
It's very goopy. It has some really good practical effects. The like CGI mosquitoes aren't that great, but the CG or the practical effects of the dead people are pretty good. And it was a lot of fun. But I went to, essentially, this is a shout out for Cult Classics. So Cult Classics every Sunday does a horror movie massacre, or not. It's not a horror movie massacre. It's just a movie massacre. Because sometimes they show like action movies or kung fu movies or sci-fi movies, and some of them are horror. So they do a movie massacre every Sunday. It's free. You go in, they give away free popcorn, there's special cocktails, and it is so much fun. And I go maybe once every couple of months when there's something that I haven't seen that I really want to see with a group of strangers. And last night was the perfect movie. So yeah, Mosquito was a really fun bar watch. We met some new friends at the bar, because we're all just there heckling, and the movie is what you're there for. It's not just like the movie's on, it's like it is a movie night, which makes it really special. But yeah, so that's my list. The takeaways are Frankie, Maniac Woman for sure, Hungry is fun, Faces of Death was surprisingly good, and Saccharine was one of my favorite movies of the year.
I love it.
You mentioning Hate earlier did remind me, like, oh yeah, there was that other movie that I watched, or almost watched, but I got about halfway through.
Oh, right.
They Will Kill You.
They Will Kill You. I can't believe you didn't like that movie.
I'm sorry.
So good.
It is. Rarely has a movie been less than simply the sum of its parts than this movie. This is Kill Bill meets Ready or Not, with a little bit of Sam Raimi camera work, and that is all it is. And it doesn't really know how to Tarantino. It was like, if I watch one more goddamn slow motion villain entrance to some fucking hip hop needle drop or whatever, I'm gonna kill this protagonist myself just to get this goddamn movie over. Sorry. Anyway.
Yeah.
Oh man.
All right.
The perspective of three very different horror nerds.
So true.
Can I shout out one more thing?
Yeah,
love it.
absolutely.
This is a few years old, but I had never seen it. We didn't see it until last night, actually. Is Annihilation.
Oh,
damn.
wow. Yeah.
And speaking of back rooms,
I don't know why we waited.
and it's phenomenal. I was so impressed by it. I forget why I was like hesitant to watch it or whatever. I guess something about like the depression angle. It just seemed very heavy. But man, is it interesting, and it unfolds in this very beautiful way. It treats like an alien invasion or some sort of quarantine zone in a
the
way that you've
Shimmer.
never ever seen before on film. It affects the psyche. It reflects like what reality is like, and Backrooms does a similar thing as far as like the subconscious and but the splitting of atoms and the duplicate self and the dark version of yourself that you have to destroy. I thought the conclusion was phenomenal. It was so well written and interesting. Such an interesting monster, if you want to call it that, at the end. But just beautiful all around.
And that
Good call
fucking
out.
bear was one of the most
Oh my
terrifying
gosh.
things
Oh
I
my
have ever
god!
seen.
The
Yeah, I know.
echo, the echo effect
The
of the
vocal
last word
cords.
said.
Scream.
So interesting. It's
Spoiler,
scary.
but yeah.
But yeah, I just wanted to mention that because it does touch upon some of the folk horror elements with nature horror,
like-
and especially grief.
Yeah.
It's like folk and cosmic horror kind of.
Yeah. Oh, it's
Yeah.
very Lovecraftian.
Yeah.
Very.
The film is based on Jeff Vandermeer's novel Annihilation, so that's the first of the trilogy. And I mention it because he moved to Portland. I don't know, maybe 6 months ago, maybe a year ago.
Oh, wow.
He lives in the neighborhood and comes into Powell's on Hawthorne specifically to sign his books like every month.
Amazing.
So yeah, and we basically we reach out to him and be like, Jeff, we need more, autographed books, and he'll come in and just sign everything that we have, so it's on the shelf. And they're not, we're not charging for the autograph; they're just on the shelf.
That's
so,
a great tip,
yeah.
because I literally said last night when we watched it, I was like, "Oh, I got to pick up the book."
Yeah,
So
yeah.
nice.
And I'm a fan of Alex Garland too.
Yes.
I know he's been very prolific as of late too. I was a big fan of 20 Years Later
Same.
last year, and The Bone Temple.
Oh yeah.
He wrote that, right? It wasn't just
He wrote it, yeah.
Nia DaCosta was the director. Yeah.
Ex Machina is one of my favorites.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Anything to add, anyone? We're good? Yeah?
I
Okay.
feel good
These are
about things.
great recommendations. Thank you.
Something coming up for us, the Portland Horror Trivia Massacre will be at the Drive-In 99 West on July 16th. They are showing The Thing and Virus 1999, which I don't know that movie.
It's not
Do you
very
guys
good.
Oh, Jamie Lee Curtis, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, that virus, the Jamie Lee Curtis virus?
I think
Yeah.
so.
I didn't think
Yeah,
it
it
was
has-
called 1999 at the end.
It's not. That's the year it came out.
Like
Oh.
pre-Halloween.
Oh, I see. So, okay,
It's,
I got you.
It's by and Donald Sutherland.
Oh,
is in
okay.
it.
I think it was pre H2O, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So after.
So we'll be hosting trivia
I think. Don't quote me on
on
that.
July 16th
Excellent.
at the Drive-In.
Yeah.
Nice.
Super
We
excited.
we also love your trivia nights, by the way. Nick and I
Oh.
had so much fun.
Yeah, we
so-
look forward to the next one.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll
Thank
be at Cult Classics
Thanks.
next Tuesday.
Yep. Thank you guys very much for
So
joining
much.
us.
This is
Thank
awesome.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
we're
right, yeah,
we're
thank you so
honored.
much
Thanks
for
for
Thank you.
taking an interest in a couple of indie filmmaker kids.
Thanks for making a good movie.
Absolutely. We can't wait for what's coming out next.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. Good night, everybody.